way to the haunted house. I'm not sure what to expect. I opened the door and it was dark. There were bats swooping down from every direction. I walked a little farther and I walked into a spider web. I fell down and saw a pumpkin with a spooky face right next to me. When I saw it, I ran instantly and hit a scarecrow with a huge smile. I felt better for a minute until I saw it coming at me. I screamed. Then I fell out the back. Then I ran again and fell out the back door. I breathed a sigh of relief. I looked to the right and then to the left. I did not see anything but a foliage of leaves on a tree. Next I went to the pumpkin patch and got a very orange pumpkin to carve. I got to carving. There was something very strange about this pumpkin. It already had a face. Then I looked behind me and saw the scarecrow. I ran straight to my house and ran to my room. I knew that the haunted house was not normal. I heard knocking at the door. Then I walked carefully to the door and opened it. I did not see anything. Next I looked up, but I didn't see anything. I heard something. I knew it had to be a ghost. I just stood there in fear. All of a sudden, I saw two people walk in. They got rid of the ghost, and I was all better after that.
Morning, Todd was watching the weather. The weatherman said it was going to be 50 degrees and really foggy. So he put on his puffy Under Armour coat, but as he went out the door, he said, "Bye, Mom, love you." So as he was on his way to the pumpkin patch with his friend Billy, he saw the scarecrow with autumn leaves stuffed in its orange head. Its legs were straw from a haystack. Then I blinked to see if it would disappear, but when I opened my eyes, it was gone. So I just told Billy's mom to take me home. So me and my mom, Taylor, just bought a pumpkin from the store. When we opened it to carve the pumpkin, all the seeds were gone. My mom said, what kind of harvest of pumpkins did this come from?" So I had no pumpkin to carve, so I might as well get my costume ready. So it was 7:00 p.m. Halloween night. So I heard my mom say, "Todd, time to go trick-or-treating." We were driving down the road to go to my dad's neighborhood when I saw the scarecrow again. Then it suddenly disappeared. Now I was really scared. So when we arrived at my dad's house, all the candy was gone. Then I saw all kinds of bats that swooped down. So I went house to house and got 2,000 pieces of candy. So we headed home. When we got home, I went straight to bed. When I looked out the window, the scarecrow was standing in the backyard, getting closer to my window. So I ran to my mom's room and saw that her window was wide open. So I closed it and I grabbed all the things I thought I would need and hid in the cellar in our backyard and stayed there. And when I came out, guess what I saw? The scarecrow at the end.
No, there are bats flying everywhere. The pumpkin is turning into a real one, and that scary face is ugh. The bats are circling like hawks. It's on Halloween night, and everything is coming to life. Hee 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 hee. Ah! The witch and scarecrows are combining forces. Guess what? Superman saves the day again. Oh no, they're throwing stuff at us like acorns and spiderweb balls. And boy, do they hurt. When we hid behind the haystack, nothing hit us. Superman did all the work and saved the day. Oh no, here comes more scarecrows and witches and a lot more spiders, and they're spinning webs all over me. But Spider-Man, oh no, here comes the Joker. He's running around with a gun. We don't have enough good guys over here. Here comes Robin and Batman. They're fighting. Who's gonna win? So then I thought we were about to lose, and I jumped in there and I won the battle. The next day I got up. My mom made me breakfast, and she said, "How was your sleepover?" I forgot all about it, so I said, "It was good." Saving the world is better than a sleepover.
See the weather today? It's so spooky. I've already seen 3 bats, and it's in the middle of the day. The pumpkins on my street look so realistic, and some are not even orange. Since it is autumn, all the crops are ready to be harvested. All the leaves and spider webs make it hard to get to the plants. One time, a scarecrow was right beside me before it was on another field. All the haystacks just kept falling apart for some reason. I got hit by acorns. When it was a walnut tree. All the foliage just fell on me on one time, and it made me fall. All this time it has been a creepy day. Suddenly out pops a ghost. A ghost pops out of the bushes. I screamed so loud it scared the ghost away. I felt like I was the only person in the whole entire state. Suddenly out pops Mr. Marshmallow. He is a bad guy from Marshmallow Land. Then out pops Fireboy. He is a good guy from Lava Land. They battled for a really long time, and then I said, "Just burn them already." And that's what Fireboy did. I got scared, so I ran away. Luckily, I lived right beside Tennessee. I ran all the way to Knoxville, Tennessee. I found a good little apartment for free in the city. The weather was a lot better than where I lived. I finally found the right place. It had a lot of restaurants near it. Finally, I got a job, and now I work at Red Lobster. I am the main chef. I was driving home one day and saw a poor person. Then I gave him some food. At the end of the day, I finally got settled in my new house in Tennessee. I turned on the TV and saw a good-looking movie. It was called Ghost in Daylight. After the movie was over, I got in bed and I had a nightmare about my terrible day that later turned into a good day. When I woke up, I went to Red Lobster and started cooking.
This year, Michaela and her friends decided to go to an indoor scary but haunted corn maze. They were going to cut the lights off. They were paid $5. I must warn you, if you like spooky, listen on. This is a spooky story. When Michaela, Haley, Aaron, Lena, and Nana got there, they were scared. But they walked bravely on to a sign that said stop. The weather, or the temperature, was cool. Michaela and Lena put on their jackets. As they started the maze, they found the corn dyed orange and rubber bats hanging from a string. Just as Michaela thought, this isn't haunted, a guy in a vampire suit jumped out of the harvested corn. The girls screamed like their house was on fire. As they ventured on, Michaela, Aaron, Haley, Lena, and Nana walked through spider webs, met the so-called scarecrow, and screamed a whole lot. After a guy, or a girl, they couldn't really tell, jumped out just like a pumpkin, the girls were so scared he gave them a map to navigate. After a while, the girls were only halfway. Did I mention the maze is 3 miles wide and 4 miles long? Asked Michaela, as she turned to talk to her friends. Michaela tripped over a haystack that had not been there before. By the end, Michaela and her friends had, number 1, fell into a pit. That took half an hour to get out of. Tripped into 3 yards wide, 4 yards long, 2 feet deep thingy full of leaves. They were battered up after a bucket of acorns dumped over them. After they finished, as they waited for their parents, the girls carved pumpkins in the cool autumn weather. Michaela carved a picture of the beautiful foliage. When their parents got out, they ate at McDonald's. They had Big Macs, hamburgers, chicken nuggets, fries, and all the desserts. That night was one of the girls' favorites, and every year they went to a maze. Each one was scarier than the last. Michaela and her friends went to the mazes till they had canes, walkers, wheelchairs, and old stuff. They loved it.
One autumn night on Halloween, all the kids were trick-or-treating. Leaves were everywhere, so were acorns. The weather conditions were perfect. I saw pumpkins everywhere. That's the fun part, but now it's getting scarier. 3 kids were stalking around and hiding behind a haystack, trying to roll somebody's yard. But there were 5 guys walking around with paintball guns. They threw a roll at one guy, then took off into the forest. All of a sudden, they heard the howls of a group of coyotes. They started running. The sounds got closer until they were cornered by wolves. There was an electrical zap.
A mechanical witch was chasing them with her broom. Then they were chased by goblins with candy. Then chased by bats. Then they were chased by ogres all the way to a lake. They got closer and closer until they fell in. They got back on the bank of the lake. Then the monsters gasped. "Sorry, we thought you were somebody else," said the witch, and they left. And until that night, the kids had the best night of their lives and remembered every single part of it.
The haunted house I went into was really scary. I was walking down the sidewalk when the weather was getting rough, so I went into the house that was closest to me. It looked like nobody lived there, so I just opened the door without knocking. All at once, bats flew from the doorway into the stormy sky. When I got a closer look at the house, I saw that it was not well kept. Spiderwebs were everywhere. Then the door slammed shut. I was in for a good scare. It was cold inside, even though the fire was blazing, and somehow, even though we were inside, it felt as if there was a small breeze, a chill, against my bare neck. I picked up a single lit candle and decided to explore the house. I wanted to see for sure that nobody lived there. As I walked a creak with every step, I make sure that every room is empty. After a while, I was in the same place. I heard a deep laugh. I turned in all directions, but all I saw was a pumpkin. I stared at it. It seemed as if it was rising from the haystack it was sitting on. I gave it one more quick look, and it rose on 8 legs, and the pumpkin turned around. It wasn't a pumpkin. It was a jack-o'-lantern with legs. This autumn keeps getting weirder and weirder. Then the tall scarecrow in the window turned into a big frightening ghost. I ran down the hall fast as I could. I sat down on the floor to rest, and the wall turned. I was in some sort of controlling room. There was a mad scientist. "What are you doing in my lab?" he asked me. I was being chased by a ghost," I said. He said, "Oh, I was controlling those ghosts." He apologized for scaring me, and I left. But on the way back, the crow on the roof had glowing red eyes. I just kept walking, but faster.
It all happened in autumn, when the weather was a little cool. But bats were flying everywhere. Acorns were falling. Spiderwebs were so close you couldn't even see them. Everybody was wearing orange. Leaves were falling. Scarecrows were cool and scaring crows away. Haystacks were still up. It was also Halloween night. People were dressed up. The costumes were Batman, Superman, Red Crayon, and many more. People went in haunted houses. When they came out, they said that they were scared. I thought of going into a haunted house, but people said that there were witches in the haunted house. The next day, I went into the haunted house. It was pretty scary. The haunted house's owner was my grandfather. I was so amazed. I didn't even know that. Then he said, "I own this haunted house." I was so happy to know that. It was cool that my grandfather owned a haunted house. I like that my grandfather owned the haunted house. I saw foliage all over the place. Then he shut down the haunted house for the fall. I was sad for that. But it was cool while it lasted, and I liked it very much. I was glad that my grandfather was the owner of the haunted house. I liked this Halloween, and I will like it forever and ever and ever. It was the best Halloween. I will always treasure it. The end.